When companies have tried to utilize IoT in products and business, the huge initial investment has been a barrier for them. A Japanese venture that has overturned that orthodoxy is now attracting considerable attention.
We developed an IoT system that is affordable even for small teams or startups with limited financial power. That's why we redesigned mobile data communication technology for IoT.
The main driver behind the high cost was the need to create a dedicated core system from scratch. This venture replaces the physical telecom core with cloud-based software, so data can travel from SIMs to the cloud where it is managed and controlled. This makes it possible to manage data flow in the cloud. Even when data is sent from a large number of devices, it is sent simultaneously. This system drastically reduced connection costs.
I call it the democratization of IoT. In Japan, a wide range of startups and companies are beginning to use IoT to revolutionize society.
Even elevators that were not on the network can be connected using this new IoT technology. Operations have become much more efficient.
Relying on IoT where we needed it gave us more time to tend to the pigs. Our work became much more efficient. Through this, I want to improve the image of the livestock industry.
We were able to use the smallest amount of data necessary, which reduced power consumption to 1/10 of what it was. We hope our products can serve not only for personal use, but also as a part of urban infrastructure.
Before, only big companies had the resources to spur innovation. But we want people who want to change the future with passion. Individuals, startups, and ventures to innovate too.
Hello everybody, it's Max with Crypto Talk Now. Happy Memorial Day to each and every one of you out there. In today's JASMY video, we're going to get into a few key things in regards to why we should pay more attention to KUNITAKE ANDO, the big head honcho of JASMY. We're going to get into an outline on his history with Sony, the JASMY connection, and why it is so important to pay attention to these type of things. So without further ado, let's jump into today's outline. As you can see right here, there was a few things reported a few days ago, and they've been resolved. And of course, I want to give a shout out to JASMY Pirate, a great member of the JASMY community. Like he posted right here, sending a message to Hara about some of the misspelling. And, for instance, VAIO with Jamie Secure PC, right? It's JASMY. And, this has been fixed. The other one was Booster Jam Z instead of, JASMY. And of course, some people in the community, as well as, let's face it, Fudders, have pointed out, hey, you know what? Let's get this fixed. How are we going to take things serious, right? And if anything, Mr. Yanoslav has pointed out how this has been fixed. And he says, not Jamie anymore. I hope haters are happy now, or the flutters and so on. And we get that, right? But the key thing I want to share with you is this. You're about to see an interview in the past from the late, great Steve Jobs in regards to the difference in marketing when it comes to Japan and the United States. Here we go.
It's funny, the group of people that do not use quality in their marketing are the Japanese. You never see them using quality in their marketing. It's only the American companies that do. And yet, if you ask people on the street which products have the best reputation for quality, they will tell you the Japanese products. Now, why is that? How could that be? The answer is because customers don't form their opinions on quality from marketing. They don't form their opinions on quality from who won the Deming Award or who won the Baldrige Award. They form their opinions on quality from their own experience with the products or the services. And so one can spend enormous amounts of money on quality. One can win every quality award there is, and yet if your products don't live up to it, customers will not keep that opinion for long in their minds. And so I think where we have to start is with our products and our services, not with our marketing department. And we need to get back to the basics and go improve our products and services. Now again, quality isn't just the product or the service, it's having the right product. Knowing where the market's going and having the most innovative products is just as much a part of quality as the quality of the construction of the product when you have it. And I think what we're seeing is the quality leaders of today have integrated that quality technology well beyond their manufacturing, now going well into their sales and marketing and out as far as they can to touch the customer, and trying to create super efficient processes back from the customer all the way through to the delivery of the end product, so that they can have the most innovative products, understand the customer needs fastest, et cetera, et cetera. In most companies, if you're new and you ask, why is it done this way? The answer is because that's the way we do it here, or because that's the way it's always been done. And in my opinion, the largest contribution of much of this quality thinking is to approach these ways of doing things, these processes, scientifically, where there is a theory behind why we do them. There is a description of what we do, and most importantly, there is an opportunity to always question what we do. And this is a radically different approach to business processes than the traditional one, because it's always done this way. And that single shift is everything, in my opinion, because in that shift is a tremendous optimistic point of view about the people that work in a company. It says these people are very smart. They're not pawns. They're very smart. And if given the opportunity to change and improve, they will. They will improve the processes if there's a mechanism for it. And that optimistic humanism I find very appealing. And I think we have countless examples that it works.
All right, so KUNITAKE ANDO, we know about him, at least we should by this point, as far as being JASMY investors and so on. If you're new to this, well, it's all right. Let's introduce him to you just in case if you're that type of person. So KUNITAKE ANDO, like it says, President and COO of Sony Corporation, President and COO of Sony Engineering and Manufacturing of America, Chairman and Representative Director of Sony Financial Holdings, Chairman of Sony Life Insurance. You get it, right? He, of course, was appointed Representative Director of the company back in April 2016, and he's also currently the Director of Japan Innovation Network and President of the University of Nagano. Very impressive person. So why put so much emphasis on today's video in regards to him? Well, just like you saw here about a minute or so ago in regards to Steve Jobs, were you aware that in the past they both shared the stage together in regards to JASMY? Maybe some of you were, but I would say for the most part, the majority of us were not. That is part of our outline. We'll get into that here in a bit, but I want to show you a few key things. For one, a blast from the past on this outline. Like it says right here, hello, I am KUNITAKE ANDO, Representative Director of JASMY. I have spent almost my entire career at Sony after graduating from college. Prior to becoming President General Manager of Sony, I had the experience of building 4 new businesses from scratch. Here's the particular, segment from the video. I did try my best to find that archive video. I was not able to find it, unfortunately. It says one of them was a hardware business similar to VAIO notebooks or Xperia. Another one is the life insurance, like we mentioned in the past. But one of the key things I want to show you is, like he says, the upcoming IoT era. We are basically in the start of that era. And what does that mean for you as a JASMY holder? It says pure hardware business is far from enough to take full advantage of the network and integrate new software or services. We must create businesses that constantly create new value. Now, what could very well be one of those new things to create new value? Well, in my opinion, it's the concept of, for instance, JASMY's personal data lockers. In the past, it's been referred to as the PDC and not the PDL, as in a personal data cabinet. But the main gist of it is where Japan is going here soon when it comes to DFFT, data free flow with trust. And we've done about roughly 3 deep dives in regards to the significance of that. So if anything, make sure you check out some of those videos, especially if you're new to our channel in regards to JASMY and DFFT. It really truly is the pathway forward when it comes to that regulatory framework to get everything going in the right positive direction to get that institutional money into crypto that everybody is wanting and praying for. So check this out, right? He talks about some of the innovations of the past. He says, basically speaking, back in the 1970s and 80s, Japan was considered the #1 manufacturing power in the entire world. At that time, many unique ideas and innovations were born from Japan, and it was Sony basically that was at the forefront of those times. Let's face it, when I think of Japan, I think immediately of advanced electronics, technologies, and so on. Whether it's, old school Ataris, Nintendos, you name it. When you think of Japan, you're immediately thinking of the technological advancements that they were able to bring to the table for many, many decades, even going forward. So we have an idea of, where they originated from. Like for instance, it says JASMY uses blockchain technology to challenge GAFA, which basically stands for Google, Apple, Facebook, and Amazon. And, they are considered to challenge it with blockchain technology, giving power back to the people. Or those people, let's face it, the people of Japan, other places, for instance, in Asia. Now, here in the United States, we dismiss a lot of the, freely handing over our data, right? So people feel as though that when it comes to GAFA, whether it's Google, Amazon, Apple, Facebook, and so on, that it's just free services. You definitely are paying for those services by freely handing over your personal data. Japan looks at it a different way. They basically, look at data as something personal and important. So how much is that worth, right? So we're going to get into this outline. And, the reason why I'm showing you some of the footage in regards to, like, for instance, Steve Jobs of Apple is because I want to show you this outline in regards to the backstory. So Sony's 2001 offer from Steve Jobs to run Mac OS on VAIO laptops. This was published originally February 5th of 2014. Now, one of the cool things is, like it states, there was a rumor in regards to this, and it was confirmed that it was true. Sony confirmed that it was selling its PC business and the VAIO brand to Japan industrial partners, with the deal set to complete by the end of that 2014 year. Now, one of the crucial things is what's posted here in regards to president of the Sony at the time, Kunitake Ando, obviously the head honcho over at JASMY nowadays. He basically said that Sony turned down the offer from Steve Jobs back in 2001 to run Mac OS and VAIO laptops. Were you aware of that? Several years after original Mac clone program ended in 1998. Now, like it says, Ando described the moment Steve Jobs met senior Sony execs to make the offer. And later on in this outline, you will also come to the conclusion that, Steve Jobs has kind of like a thing, if you will, when it comes to Japan. You can even look more into it if you want to take more of your even more deeper dive, if you will, in regards to that. Look at what's mentioned here. Most of Sony executives spent their winter vacation in Hawaii back then to play golf, celebrate the new year, and one of the New Year golf competitions back in 2001. Speaking of which, I believe it was back in like 2004, Kunitake Ando even gave an award to Ernie Els, right? Legendary golf champion. Steve Jobs and other Apple executives were waiting for them at the end of the golf course holding a VAIO running Mac OS. Now think about this for a second. So, when it comes to Elon Musk, right? We know that he had a big thing going on back in the day in regards to PayPal. And if anything, he had to leave PayPal because, they just were on the, I guess you could say they weren't able to agree on everything. But if you can see even right now, there's rumors, and I know some people are kind of disappointed about this, but, it's rumors that he has this itch that needs to be scratched when it comes to getting some kind of payment solution on Twitter. Now, enter into the modern time when it comes to JASMY. Could it very well be that Kunitake Ando has this unfulfilled itch or scratch or whatever you want to call it when it comes to specifically blockchain PCs? You could see the vision back then when it come to, for instance, VAIO running, for instance, Mac operating systems. Fast forward to the present, VAIO laptops, as you just recently saw, basically running what? Blockchain PCs in the form of what JASMY brings to the table with their secure PCs. So, again, it's a very interesting backstory. Apple had commissioned Sony to help design PowerBook range launch, 10 years earlier. Jobs was known to admire Sony's work. That's been verified. Ando said that the feeling was mutual, with Sony feeling the Mac and VAIO shared a similar philosophy in expressing admiration for the first iMac. Now listen to this for a second. But he states the timing was bad for Sony. Now, why would the timing be bad for Sony? Sony's VAIO gained popularity, and it is just about the time that VAIO team had finished optimizing both VAIO's hardware, software specifically for the Windows platform. Well, there you go. You're not going to be able to... you can run two different ones, right? Two operating systems, right? We understand that for different particular laptop or PC and so on. But it says because of this, most of VAIO team oppose the idea, asking if it is worth it. Now, the story, of course, had a ring of truth. Things have been verified. But let's jump a little bit more into this outline. And if anything, it's going to be kind of like an encyclopedia type format. I'm going to give you a historical outline in regards to all this. All right, sorry about that. Let's get into this right here. So this is going to start off in the year 2000, and like you see right here, it says Sony Corporation Chairman CEO Nobuyuki Ide, if I'm pronouncing that right. It basically mentions that President Kunitake Ando, as well as the other person, and New York Stock Exchange Chairman Richard Grasso, applauded before a day rang the opening bell to celebrate the 30th anniversary of Sony's listing on the New York Stock Exchange. This happened on October 5th of 2000. Now, you might be wondering, well, why point some of this out? The main reason for it is because it's going to give you an outline of how Kunitake Ando was literally at a lot of these big, events, if you will. On top of that, look at this for a second. Here he is, of course, pictured there at the ringing of the New York Stock Exchange back in the year October 2000, right? Close to 23 years ago. And also, as you can see right here, on the 29th of March 2001, this picture shows KUNITAKE ANDO displaying the company's 13-inch SVGA 800 by 600 full-color organic light-emitted panel in Tokyo, Japan. Sony, of course, launched mass production of these panels back then. From the next spring, the company announced, basically in June of 2003. And at the time, that was a big deal. You got to keep in mind, traditional television sets, CRT technology sets, they had a maximum output, I believe, of 480p, right? And that was considered standard definition. This was considered, a big leap forward because, for one, I mean, it's a flat panel. You get the gist. But the key takeaway I want you guys to have from this is KUNITAKE ANDO continuously was part of innovation. And it's really ridiculous, to say the least, when you see that Binance put JASMY in an innovation zone. We're not truly understanding. Maybe they do. I don't know. But, this guy is literally one of the key proponents of innovation, to say the least. He's got a robust history in regards to that. Let's fast forward a little bit more. You see right here that, he spoke as in KUNITAKE ANDO at Comdex 2001. If you're not aware of this, Comdex basically was, maybe still is the world's largest computer technology convention, right? Why would somebody like this want to, be featured in regards to speaking in front of, many, many people in regards to some of these technologies or advancements in technologies through innovation? Now, I understand it, when it comes to crypto, a lot of people are kind of soured on the whole idea of seeing some key players being pictured with celebrities and so on, especially with what we saw in light of FTX, right? But back in the day, right, KUNITAKE ANDO, of course, was pictured here on November 12, 2001 in Las Vegas with, for instance, Tobey Maguire, who was a big upcoming star for Spider-Man, the original Spider-Man. By the way, I thought he played the best, Peter Parker, if you will. But to each his own. And of course, you have, for instance, Kirsten Dunst, who was also in the 3 films. On top of that, look at this for a moment. KUNITAKE ANDO answers a question during Sony Week in Beijing, China. Sony Week included events such as Techno Fair, Business Forum, Marketing Forum, and Entertainment Week. Sony also announced, a few other things. But KUNITAKE ANDO was there to answer quite a few questions in regards to, this announcement, I should say, of its sales in China. How they, at the time would soon exceed in the, its sales in Japan. Now, think about this for a second, right? These are things that originally already happened in the past. Why is that so significant? The reason why that's so significant is because, basically speaking, is you see what has originally, or I should say, recently happened with Hara, basically speaking, going over to Japan, basically. Think about it for a moment. You have, for instance, Hara, and we know that Hara basically went to Hong Kong, and he displayed and informed everybody about the use cases of JASMY, obviously, and so on. But the key thing is he has KUNITAKE ANDO as a great mentor to give him a heads up of how he went about things in the past. Let's face it. Perfect example is like what you saw right here in regards to KUNITAKE ANDO and, basically giving the report of how they're, having better sales in regards to China versus Japan. Who better to mentor Hara than KUNITAKE ANDO? Just simply makes sense. All right. Check this out for size. Like it shows right here. Press conference back in November 2002 in regards to Sony Plasma Wega television. Now, it may not seem like it's that big of a deal to us in the modern day, but you got to keep in mind, big deal back then. Plasma televisions, HD televisions. I never had one, but, that was a big jump forward as far as innovation. Let's face it, a lot of us maybe ourselves, we did it, or our kids did it. You play like a certain game, and basically speaking, what was one of the big problems? If your kid basically paused the screen, it would burn the image into the television set. We've come a long way, to say the least, from then. All right, how about this for size? KUNITAKE ANDO. Let's fast forward to March 27th of 2002. KUNITAKE ANDO inspects a robot guard dog named Banneroo, developed by Japanese electronics maker Sanyo during Robotics 2002, Japan's largest robot exhibition. In Yokohama, Banneroo is equipped with video cameras to transmit images to security center and also barks at dubious people. We're talking about JASMY when it comes to the Internet of Things, IoT. Here's a perfect example of something over, 21 years ago that is IoT related. Might not have been called Internet of Things back then, possibly. But the point is, KUNITAKE ANDO is fully aware of everything that's involved when it comes to the Internet of Things. That also makes sense. All right, check this out. September 4th, 2002. Again, another example of innovation. You have KUNITAKE ANDO. He introduces a new series of home AV gateway devices called Cocoon. No, not the 1980s hit Cocoon with Wilford Brimley, aka Mr. Diabetes, but if anything, this one called Cocoon, equipped with a large capacity hard disk that enables consecutive recording and playback at the user's leisure for music, movies, you name it. Let's face it, a lot of people use nowadays, like a terabyte for that stuff. I remember back in 2002 was a big leap forward for me. My previous computer, I had a compact Presario 2600. Was an absolute piece of junk. Had a 1.5 gigabyte hard drive, and running the Windows operating system, Windows 95 operating system. To jump to a 40 gig hard drive, that was a big deal, especially for gaming, on Medal of Honor, Allied Assault, the original Counter-Strike. But the key thing was, 160 gig hard drive back then, basically, a retail price of $1,100. That was very, very expensive, right? And the key thing is, that was a big leap forward as far as innovation, right? Now we look back on it and it's like, give me a break, right? So again, KUNITAKE ANDO showcasing some of this stuff. How about this? A lot of times you may not like the idea of seeing some, crypto projects with a guy standing side by side with a celebrity. Let's face it, in light of, FTX and so on, a lot of people were very turned off or soured with the whole notion. But this is the past, right? So the lovely Drew Barrymore with KUNITAKE ANDO. He was given a keynote address for the Consumer Electronics Show. Right, but again, the key thing is Japan, consumer electronics. Usually people think of, Japan associated with electronics. All right. Here's another example in regards to KUNITAKE ANDO. He's at I should say he passed this robot during a presentation at CeBIT 2004. This was on March 17th. Of 2004. The fair at the time, which it could very well still be, was the largest of its kind in the world, and it was during the inauguration of then Chancellor Gerhard Schroeder of Germany. There was about 6,400 exhibitors from 64 countries. But again, the point is KUNITAKE ANDO, right, front row center in regards to all this. And fast forward to the present. Again, what is he trying to solve when it comes to JASMY? The way I look at it is this guy, this is his legacy. He wants to, take things to the next level. You got to keep in mind, like, as I would say, like this itch that needs to be scratched when it comes to some of these big players, when it comes to things that they were involved with in the past. Great example, again, like I mentioned, Elon Musk. His connections to PayPal. A lot of times people are wondering when Elon is going to come up with an announcement of Is it this particular cryptocurrency? Is it going to be XRP, or is it going to be some other one that will do the payment rails for what? Twitter. You know, if he announced whatever one that is, that could be huge. That would definitely pump the price. How do we know that? If you saw meme coins being pumped in price significantly, whether it was, you know, Floki, whether it's Dogecoin, PayPay, and so on, you better believe one with real world utility would absolutely fly off the rails. No pun intended. And that's the key thing. These CEOs who have these issues to scratch, if you will, who want to solve, or I should say, not just solve, but basically see through, you know, these things that they wanted to accomplish years ago in the modern age, there's something to be said about that. All right. Let me kick it over to the next part of what we have. Here's a little bit more in regards to those robots, just different angle with KUNITAKE ANDO. Here's, you know, for instance, Chancellor Schroeder back then, standing right next to KUNITAKE ANDO. But, you know, ANDO, I mean, I used to think, like, all right, this guy was a former, you know, Sony CEO. He obviously did some things. But when you look more into it and you do your, like, history lesson through, like, you know, an unofficial encyclopedia through Getty images, if you will, you know, it gives you a broader sense of, like, wow, look at this. At least it does for me. So look at this. All right. I don't know about you. I'm old school. I mean, I have my Sony Walkman everywhere I went. Absolutely everywhere I went. Here's KUNITAKE ANDO, president of Japan's electronics giant Sony, like I mentioned many times, delivers a speech this time at a press party at the to commemorate, excuse me, been reading all day, the 25th anniversary of the selling of its first Walkman in 1979. I mean, shoot, that was the 25th anniversary, and here in the next few years, we're gonna be hitting the 50th anniversary. That's crazy. It makes you feel old, at least it does for me. But the key thing is, you know, he was part of so many innovative things. The Walkman, are you kidding me? I mean, you know, I went from that, of course, a lot of us did, to the Discman back in the 90s. But I always enjoyed the Walkman a lot more, personally. You know, as Biggie Smalls would say, you know, I let my tape rock till my tape pop, right? Well, that's what would happen. I would listen to, you know, one of my favorite albums on a cassette tape, and once the A side was done, time to flip that thing over to the B side. And, you know, everybody was doing that, at least back then, right? So check this out. The next step forward as far as innovation, okay? So let's fast forward now to July 1st, 2004. KUNITAKE ANDO, through Sony, is introducing the world's lightest, smallest portable audio player equipped with 20 gigabytes built-in hard disk, the Net Walkman NWHD1. Now you got to keep in mind, most of us, we didn't use this. Why didn't we use it? Well, again, it's the timing of some of these things. So this was basically a year before what? Apple's iPod. Now, you know, some of us, like myself, I didn't use this, right? Because for one, it was too much. Look at the retail on this. Basically $490. I believe the iPod was like, what, $99 or something like that? And even a Zune, you know, was significantly cheaper. But the point was, this was a big leap in innovation because, for instance, it was a 20 gigabyte built-in hard disk, and you had, for instance, a digital display on it, compared to, for instance, like some of the older technologies. But that was a big leap forward as far as what? Innovation. Let's jump into this. So, you know, shout out to Zippy. And this is one of the key takeaways I want you guys to have from this. I mean, I understand that when it comes to JASMY, you know, this is not something that necessarily original as far as Ghost drives, but it's a nice feature that they have. So like Zippy mentions, the Ghost drive is an encrypted data area managed by JASMY Secure PC agent. It can be accessed under certain conditions. The data on the Ghost drive is protected even if the computer is lost. It can be seen under certain circumstances. And when you blow this up, I mean, it's basically that, you know, just it hides it from the naked eye, right? But it's technically there. You just don't see it. You know what I mean? But the key thing is that's part of the JASMY Secure PC. You know, again, some people may not look at that as being innovation, but it is innovation in the sense that there is no other blockchain PC companies out there. And if anything, that's a nice feature. All right, I want to show you guys this for a brief moment. This is one of the key areas or highlights of today's JASMY video. So if you made it this far, this is a real treat for you. So January 11th, 2005, San Francisco, California, KUNITAKE ANDO spoke during the keynote address at the 2005 Macworld Expo. Well, who was also there? Yeah, the late, great Steve Jobs. They shared the stage together. So Jobs, of course, announced several new products, including the new Mac Mini personal computer, starting at basically $500, and the iPod Shuffle MP3 player for $99. So I did get that part right. So again, roughly what, close to 5 times cheaper than the other thing that was introduced by Sony. Just it's the timing and so on, and it's also like think about some of these innovators, like which one is doing a better job with distribution and overhead costs. All those things, of course, are factors. But the key thing, like I want to show you guys, is these two share the stage together. Were you aware of that? So let's go ahead and jump into that. KUNITAKE ANDO and the late, great Steve Jobs. Here we go.
We've been using this stuff now for years, and we're still blown away with it. We just keep making it better. And you can take your videos and you can watch them on your computer in high def, or you can put them back to the camcorder and watch them in high def on a high def TV, or you can actually make a current generation DVD and it'll put them in gorgeous 16:9, just the best video you've ever seen on a DVD. And we're anxiously awaiting Blu-ray DVDs so we can burn our own high def DVDs as well. So this is stunning. Now, the year of high definition video isn't just going to be made possible by Final Cut Pro, Final Cut Express, and now iMovie editing HD. You've got to capture the HD in the first place, right? And that is being made possible by some new high-def camcorders that are stunning. And the most stunning of these is this new Sony HDV camcorder. It is the world's first prosumer HDV camcorder, and it sells for just $34.99. And I've got one here. It is just absolutely stunning video. I've been playing around with this for a month, and you just got to go get one of these. It's great. And the company behind this, as always, of course, is Sony. They're the best video company in the world. And, we compete with Sony in a friendly way in computers and in music and a few other things. But we cooperate with Sony, too. We started using their 3.5-inch floppy disk in the original Mac. We do a lot of stuff with Sony. And it is my great pleasure now to actually welcome the president of Sony, KUNITAKE ANDO, on stage to talk about the collaboration between Sony and Apple to make this the year of high-definition video. Good to see you.
Hi, Steve.
How you doing?
Fine, thank you. Thank you.
Good job.
Yes, thank you. Well, Steve, once again, thank you very much for inviting me to this stage. It's very exciting to see just real Steve Jobs making presentation at the Macworld. Yeah. Also, some of you may be surprised to see me here at the Macworld, right? But as Steve explained, that Sony and Apple has had a very long, close relationship for many, many years. So, and I have a great admiration, respect to Apple products for hardware as well as software. And I know that Steve openly said that he's a great fan of Sony products. Not all of them, but I'm sure most of them. And in fact, the most recent product he fell in love with is this FX XS1, which he explained on the screen. In fact, I don't know, he told me that he played with it over the weekend. He liked it so much, he decided to invite me to the stage. And I gladly accepted that, because together we could really, with the great software products and the hardware products, we could really revolutionize the way we enjoy video at home. I think Steve is so right when he said that the year 2005 is the year of high definition in the home. And it is Sony's strategy to really create HD world by introducing the range of HD-related products, such as, of course, flat panel display, color TV, Grand Vega, and the Blu-ray disc, decoder, and player, and digital stereo cameras, and of course, like HD camcorder, like FX1. But also, of course, Sony is a great primary supplier of HD equipment for the broadcasters. But you know, without great software, although it's very difficult to appease to all the greatness, the full value of the hardware. And in fact, we recognize that great quality software is the glue which put together all the pieces and they make the great, the value of the hardware. And I think without those, we cannot really enjoy all those great hardware. So strategically, it's very important for Sony to work with Apple, who really create the great application which works seamlessly with all the Sony products. And just all the great software which you introduced, just do that.
Thank you.
Yes. on the Mac platform. Yes. Well, anyhow, let me explain a little bit about the background of HDV format, which we are promoting aggressively this year. Sony, Canon, and Sharp, and JVC all got together and created the HDV format, which allows the recording and the playback of the HD video on the existing DV format, which is just great. And I think this well, I don't know. And then I think we should together will really create this great HD world and everything, right?
We're in.
And, yeah, but let me tell you this. Today I really appreciate all of us inviting me, but I shouldn't have talked too long here. But today you show this little products, FX1, but it may be a little bit too bulky. But so looking forward, keeping this great powerful features of the professional broadcasting cameras, but I think we continue to develop much lighter and smaller and easier to use, maybe for less price.
That'd be great.
That's what you want, right? Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Take care. Bye-bye. Very much. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
And also, one more thing. I'm sure you all visit the Mac Expo booth, right? And I'm sure you see the great products, and I hope you really enjoyed the live demonstration, great software, and great hardware FX1, and I'm sure you'll be blown away. Okay, thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. We do work very closely with Sony on digital still cameras and these new camcorders, which is really great. And who knows, maybe someday computers and music too.
All right. So that was really cool to see that. So, my attitude basically is this. So many people have wanted to see footage of, for instance, Sato-san or Hara, and actually see actual, them talking on camera. A lot of people wanted to, to have it live and so on. But the key thing is this. I think this is better because this actually shows you, Kunitake Ando, and he's speaking English, not Japanese, English. I've seen some other interviews of him where he's speaking in Japanese. He speaks not only English, but he speaks good English. And that was really, really cool to see. So, my thing is, again, a lot of us, or maybe some of us, not necessarily a lot of us, maybe have seen this in the past. I think the majority of us have not seen, are you kidding? The CEO of JASMY and, the late great Steve Jobs together on stage. I mean, you better believe that was a big moment for Kunitake Ando. I'm sure if he was interviewed about that, maybe he has pictures. You never know. That must have been a proud moment. I understand a lot of people don't necessarily like Steve Jobs because of the the cheap labor of extorting Chinese people and so on. But the key thing is this, right? he definitely was an innovator, to say the least, and a great entrepreneur. We can agree to disagree on a lot of that stuff, but again, there's no dismissing that. That was huge, and I definitely wanted to highlight some of that. I want to show you guys this as well, and we only have a few more slides in regards to this outline for KUNITAKE ANDO. So February 14th, 2005, he was at this thing called the GIS, the Global Information Summit. Basically, the GIS enables world experts in IT to exchange views on the challenges they face within the industry. The 2005 summit focused on digital home, the new lifestyle in this seamless environment. Now, think about that for a second. This concept of like the digital home, fast forward to the present. How about digital cities? How about smart cities? So, you know, the writing is literally on the wall. This guy was a visionary. This guy was a pioneer when it comes to IoT. Now, I mentioned things, for instance, you know, like when I do quant videos, I mentioned that, you know, Gilbert Verdian is an absolute pioneer when it comes to, you know, being part of, you know, like not necessarily the Internet Engineering Task Force, IETF, but, you know, he literally knows or talks to consistently these people that were the pioneers. Here's another example of a pioneer, but through what? IoT, the Internet of Things. It's amazing to me to find some of these things because it gives you a broader perspective of the bigger picture that's out there. These guys are not only innovators, but, you know, this gentleman here, I mean, he's obviously a lot older now, and you're going to see that here. Or actually, you already did see it. I believe, you know, I think he's in his 80s now, or pushing that. At this point, it's leaving a legacy behind. How does he want to be remembered? I would imagine that he wants to be part of the new, you know, the new revolution, the fourth industrial revolution, basically, as the saying goes. He wants to be remembered not only just for Sony and all these great accomplishments, but the next era. And that next era is basically what, guys? It's Web 3 with, you know, IoT. I think roughly 3 or 4 more slides. Check this out. This is ANDO. Also, you know, give another presentation at the same thing we just showed you. And on top of that, how about this for size? Going through the ticket gate with mobile phone, right? So here's ANDO, also with the president East Japan Railway Company, Matsutake Atsuka, and president and chief executive officer of NTT Docomo Masao. They're all shaking hands during this press conference on February 22nd, 2005 in Tokyo, Japan. And basically speaking, they came together to announce the launch of a joint service with NTT Docomo's new mobile. Passengers can go through ticket gates at Japan Railway e-stations. Listen with this, guys, and here's, I guess you say, a good part. With Sony's contactless IC chip built in mobile handset as a prepaid ticket. Now, recently I did a video, and not everybody saw it, and that's okay, because I understand that not everybody is into Algorand, and that's all right. This is not an Algorand video, but the main key takeaway is what? From Algorand, they have that huge announcement about the tokenization of airline tickets. Well, how about this for size? The tokenization of, for instance, bullet train tickets. You get where I'm going with this. Sony's contactless IC chip built in mobile handset as a prepaid ticket. That was the vision back then. Fast forward again to the modern day when it comes to, for instance, JASMY with IoT. Okay, and the way I look at it is look at data democratization coin, right? And I'm going to show you this right here, DD coin. Okay, so with DD coin, let's jump to this for a second. All right, regarding the newly announced DD coin, it's not really newly announced, it's been around for a while. DD coin is a common currency with yen-denominated stablecoin. Yes, not a cryptocurrency function. They wanted to make it a mechanism that users can easily accumulate like points to exchange for providing their own data. Furthermore, the cryptocurrency JASMY coin, traded on exchanges around the world, will be used as a utility for activating our wallet. Now, you know, in a recent AMA, Para pointed some of these things out. But again, the key thing I want you guys to take away from this is, for instance, you know, like what says, this mechanism that users can accumulate points in exchange for providing their own data, and it's not a cryptocurrency, and it's basically a stable coin. Why would that be? Well, you got to keep in mind, this is a society that back in 2018 was probably the most pro, cash society out there. So it's like appeasing to one audience while appeasing to, the next era of a cashless society. It's like here in the United States, we're always talking about, for instance, the dollar is not backed by anything. Okay. Well, in Japan, the pathway forward when it comes to DFFT, data free flow with trust, and if you're new, check out some of our deep dive videos for that. The way I look at it is, can you imagine this really, get more and more of that adoption with the DD coin? Because with that'd be better than cash, right? It is kind of like the fiat-esque type of thing, but with utility. And it's actually backed by something, right? You can get rewards, for instance, use it for points over exchange, like it says, and so on. Are we going to be using the US dollar here for points and rewards and stuff like that? No, not at all. So, my key takeaway is the writing that's on the wall when it comes to this, like it says, is one of a few Japanese operating companies that issues cryptocurrencies. They would like to provide a mechanism that can contribute to the real economy as well. They already have an outline in regards to that. And, with our dollar, I mean, I hope to God it never does crash completely. Some people say that, it's going to jump down to like 80 cents on the dollar, technically speaking. Nobody really knows. But the key thing is, we are just given into the problem of basically continuing the process of adding to the national debt. I think last I saw we were at 32 trillion as far as the US debt, and now with this whole raising the debt ceiling, I mean, it's just that band-aid that has to continuously get patched, and nobody has a real solution in regards to that. Again, enter in Japan, they don't have these problems. They're not in debt like the United States is. All right, I want to jump to this next part before we wrap things up. Again, KUNITAKE ANDO, displaying what you see right here, basically speaking to conventioners at his keynote address at Comdex show at the MGM Grand in Las Vegas, Nevada. Comdex is the universal IT marketplace that unites technology buyers and sellers online and in person. You think about, for instance, was it Transcosmos, right? Those contact centers, if you will. So, we think about buyers and sellers online. You got to keep in mind, when it comes to the JASMY remote, or I should say the JASMY secure PCs, one of the big selling points was what you can do remotely and what you can do in person and so on. Boom. Back then, as you can see right here, going to now. But the point is, front row center, KUNITAKE ANDO, always displaying new innovations. And I don't know, it's a crazy gripe if you think about it, because, again, the whole thing with Binance, being, or I should say, putting JASMY into the innovation center. I just shake my head at it. It's just like, I'm not necessarily saying that CZ isn't fully aware of the background of KUNITAKE ANDO. It's possible. I mean, sometimes people you think that know about everything, they don't. But somebody didn't get the memo that KUNITAKE ANDO is, I mean, he has for decades now been a proponent of just that innovation and so on. And it's so incredibly impressive to see some of this. That's just the way I personally look at it. I mean, it is what it is. And if people can't see the writing on the wall, at the end of the day, it's not financial advice. People, this is not going to be for everybody. Just like I mentioned before, I mean, like XRP is not for everybody. I mean, for me, it is. But, some people see the light, some people don't. And the same applies to JASMY. All right, I want to show you just a few more key things in regards to KUNITAKE ANDO, and then we're going to get in the part in regards to that crazy price prediction for 2030. So KUNITAKE ANDO was born January 1st, 1942. He's chairman of BJIT Limited, became president of Sony Corporation in June 2000. He had been an employee since 1969. So, I mean, this guy knows all about when it comes to innovation. Back in 2005, it was announced that he would step down as advisor. We know about some of these things, but one of the key things I want to show you from here is that, this robust background that he's had, obviously, with Sony. And of course, like it says, furthermore, he's also the founder and CEO of JASMY. JASMY is a cryptocurrency listed on multiple popular exchanges. We get that. But in closing, check this out. And basically speaking, it's this right here. Let me go further back up. Believe it or not, this is like, I think the third time I've done this video today because my audio is all messed up, my camera. If you're wondering why you've seen a JASMY video from me for a while, some of these reasons. So I'm not trying to make excuses, but that was the legitimate excuse. So JASMY coin, like it says, is the latest to arrive on the scene with a bang. And there's been a lot of momentum in regards to JASMY. Let's face it. It's trending a lot more. You're starting to see, let's face it, top influencers covering this and so on. Maybe someday I'll get to that point, but I would never let that go to my head. For people wondering, like, how much money you guys make from, YouTube? It's not even a drop in the bucket compared to what we could earn, eventually, whether it comes to, when it comes, I should say, to these crypto projects going parabolic in a real true bull run, like all-time highs and so on. So JASMY coin, like it says, is the latest, right? This could soar 44,344% by 2030, believe it or not. That sounds nuts, right? So it says, while a pool of new crypto carries plenty of profit opportunity, it can be hard to tell which of these coins are real, which are scams. Of course, the fighters will be like, oh yeah, JASMY, of course, is a scam. Look at that chart. Right, and that's all they did. That's all they did. They just looked at the chart. They never really took a deep dive into all this, and let's just be honest. They'll claim that they did, but they didn't. And which ones have any growth potential? And my thing also is this, I have met people when it comes to, like, I guess you could say gambling and stuff like that. And what they do is, like, they'll go out and they'll, I don't know, throw like $1,000 at some slot machines or, blackjack. Don't get me wrong, I like blackjack once in a while and so on. I'm not really big on slots, but people do gamble, let's face it. But you're trying to tell me, and I've seen some of these guys, they will not throw money at, for instance, like JASMY and so on. They rather throw their money at something like that. It's like, this is one of the best risk to reward ratios out there. Like some people say that, crypto is like buying a lotto ticket. In my opinion, it's better than buying a lotto ticket, especially for JASMY, because as we know, you buy a lotto ticket and most people are not going to get winning numbers, right? As the saying goes, like, your chances of winning the lottery, like, you have a better chance of getting struck by lightning. So the difference also is, with the lotto, you get losing numbers, and they stay just that, losing numbers. They don't get drawn again. With crypto, on the other hand, right, it's like you could have your winning numbers come up here eventually with these 4-year cycles and so on. So it's where we agree to disagree. But anyway, it says it's important to do research on what makes certain coins sustainable and what problems they aim to eliminate. Very true. What makes JASMY quite interesting, there's a reason cryptocurrency investors calling the, Bitcoin is Japan. Let's have a look. Japanese crypto regulations, popularity. Did you know, for instance, about the PSA, the Payment Services Act? Basically speaking, it's kind of like Japan's version of the SEC. And basically speaking, in Japan, the development of the coins, they take it very seriously. Since Japan is one of the most popular crypto countries in the world, believe it or not, crypto in Japan falls under the category of crypto assets under law. That means that it can be used as a means of a payment transaction and exchange with fiat and so on. And one thing I want you guys to take away from this is, especially if you're new, when it comes to JASMY, we're going to see the unbanning of these foreign stablecoins. And I've said it many times. Maybe people get tired of me mentioning this. I sound like a broken record. It'll eventually happen. It might happen in Japan. Japan. It may happen in June, July, August, but it's going to happen, from my understanding, some point maybe towards the end of the summer. You never know, right? But it definitely will happen this year, from what I have gathered. For all the people who want to, I hate to say it, FUD or complain, not necessarily FUD, but I guess you could say even holders of this who complain that, JASMY's stuck at the 0.0047 area, or barely touches the fives because of the whole thing of being put in the innovation zone. You also got to keep in mind market conditions, but that's beyond the point. What I want to point out is, I have mentioned in the past, when it comes to like XDC, we saw, I think it was like a solid 9 months or more, even with Shiba Inu, the same situation, where it's just straight across, I should say, sideways consolidation. And again, that does strengthen the asset. Now, what's the point I'm trying to make? The point I'm trying to make is, while you will see that sideways consolidation, I think it's great to strengthen the asset. And I do consider this pullback that we've had to the 0.004 and some change as like a blessing, because in the future, we are definitely going to, be knocking ourselves if we didn't load up on some of this. This is just what I'm personally doing. It's not financial advice. You got to do what you got to do. And I'm not trying to sell anybody on JASMY. I just provide education and so on. But the key thing is, it does, the sideways consolidation does really help strengthen the asset. Now, keep in mind, we fast forward to the point where we get the unbanning of the stable coins. We get the unbanning of, for instance, USDT. This allows a tremendous amount of volume to happen. You got to keep in mind, again, and I know some people will say, man, you sound like a broken record, but in Japan, they rank third in the world when it comes to GDP, okay? Gross domestic product. That is huge, because what's going to happen is you're going to allow an entire country to now have access, which will create a tremendous amount of volume because of these pairings. And that's great, because you know what? We could see things potentially going parabolic. I don't know how like super parabolic will go. Like, I consider super parabolic like over 500%. But we could see a pump of like maybe, for instance, 100, 200% possibly. And the reason why I state that is because I've seen it before in the last bull run. And here's another thing, the Fed pause. Here in the United States, we get that Fed pause, like I mentioned before. I think it was in the last JASMY video or one close to that. I showed you guys with actual data to back it up, not just, being speculative and share my opinion. We get that Fed pause, it should be blast off, because that will really, really get things going. I mean, for one, Bitcoin and Ethereum especially, right? Whether you're fans of both of those coins or not, you got to keep in mind that they represent about 80 to 81% of the entire crypto market. We've seen proof on charts and so on that JASMY runs in correlation with, for instance, Bitcoin and Ethereum, both on the 90-day chart, 60-day, 30-day, 14-day, 7-day, 1 day, and even on the hourly. You don't believe me? Look it up for yourself. And that is something to point out. So you create this whole new volume of all these people coming in, and on top of that, what we're going to have here soon. I mean, like for instance, these incentives, if you will, for Japan, for the capital gains. I think it's a slash of like 20%. Again, we don't have these types of things in the United States. You saw, for instance, Biden mentioned that he wants to increase it. Japan's slashing it by 20%. He wants to increase it by, I think, 15 or 20%. It's just crazy. So my key thing is, and I'm not trying to make things divisive. Please don't take it that way. But these are things worth pointing out. There's a lot of things that could really change things for Japan. And just think about for a moment, which cryptocurrencies are tied in to Japan. There's a few other ones, but the key thing is, for me, I don't know of one that has a better risk to reward ratio than JASMY. So I'm going to get into this last part. It says, brings us to one of the things going for JASMY. It's certified Japanese cryptocurrency. You could check it off as legitimate. I basically do. More than that, though, JASMY leadership may have what it takes to push this coin to new highs. Yes. I mean, Kunitake Ando, Sato-san, right? Those two definitely stand out. If you haven't seen the last video about the many patents of, like, what was it, Sato-san, right? Sato, check it out. It's very, very worth looking into because things that used to be speculative are confirmed. So, in regards to Kunitake Ando, right? He's a former president and COO of Sony Corporation. The list of high-ranking positions he's held with Sony goes on and on. JASMY's president, COO, and deputy president are former high-ranking Sony employees as well. We know that. But in regards to Ando's vision and the reason for this outline, one of the things of his vision is basically speaking, he believes that the Internet of Things, IoT-powered fourth industrial revolution, is the perfect opportunity to help people retake control of just that, their personal information. And we know about the whole problem with GAFA, Google, Apple, Facebook, Amazon. And in return for using a service for free, right, people just write that off. They forfeit their personal data. Nothing is for free. In Ando's words, quote, we aim to realize a data democracy by building a decentralized democratic world called JASMY platform, where data is protected, inherently owned by each individual. Simply put, JASMY is attempting to solve a problem in centralized consumer data. Where here in the United States, let's face it, most people, they don't really care about that. You and I, who are into crypto and stuff like this, and blockchain and DLT, we get it, but the average population, let's face it, they just don't get it. In Japan, it's a different story. It also has to do with how they're educated. So, my thing is this. Like it says, as consumers, we get almost no choice on how our data is shared, at least here in the United States. As JASMY wants to solve this by decentralizing data using blockchain technology and allowing users to choose who they want to offer the data to. Think how many times like people said, I want to buy an Apple phone because, iPhone, because basically I have an option to not have them track my data. Well, they originally were part of the problem. At least they're finally recognizing that. Where do we go from here as a society here in the United States? I know a lot of you guys are watching from all around the world and so on, and you may have similar type of problems, and maybe you don't. But again, let's get back into some of the key things here. So JASMY, like it says, partnerships help future growth. They do. You see them consistently growing. They have some of these, partnerships. Ando's team of ex-Sony executives launched the JASMY initiative in January of 2019 to accelerate the adoption by working with companies willing to take the lead on the project. Since then, they had time to fine-tune the platform, and they have. Again, you gotta keep in mind, there's a difference between them not doing a great job with the marketing, kind of like what Steve Jobs, mentioned at the beginning of the video, but fine-tuning the product. That's where this is going to shine. For all the people that want to FUD and complain about JASMY and so on, you gotta keep in mind, this is something that's still being built, but they are getting things out. The next part is implementation, that mass adoption and so on. We're still incredibly early. Do you really want to get into JASMY when it's, part of, as I would say, the markup phase? No, you want to be in JASMY during the accumulation phase, which is what we're into right now. Don't believe me? Look more into it yourself. Type in Google the crypto accumulation phase, and you'll be amazed with what you find in regards to where we're at for that. Says a couple giant companies were interested, right? They partnered with Toyota and WITS. People, again, the FUDder's going to say it's not Toyota. Hey, understand the concept of subsidiaries, right? We understand that. So WITS develops automated driving technologies and IoT for companies like Toyota and Panasonic. We know that. Not only does this partnership bode well for JASMY's future, but is a testament to the quality and potential of its platform. Very, very true. The use of JASMY will help improve automated driving while protecting the data of those individuals driving. That means companies like Toyota will avoid situations similar to like what Tesla got itself into, right? And, causing outlash and public ridicule. With JASMY's platform, it won't be possible for Toyota to release such records without consent, listen to this, of the individual. JASMY also partnered with VAIO, Sony's laptop brand that distributes internationally. We saw that again at the beginning of the video. The JASMY secure PCs or secure laptops are VAIOs. Another strong indicator that JASMY's platform is legit and versatile, and that's the way I look at it too. These three huge companies create an impressive list of early corporate partnerships for JASMY. If giants like Toyota and Sony trust this platform, then more are sure to follow. And it's just a matter of time before more do just that, everyone. And that is follow. Now, in regards to this price prediction, this is not my price prediction. I'm just pulling this off of this. You could take what you want. This is from a while back, but the key thing is, like what it says right here, right? High and low of 1041 to 848 by the end of 2025. We saw, for instance, some people, or not some people, but for instance, JASMY stating with their KPI numbers, $17 by 2026, right? You guys saw, unless you're new, that video I did in regards to that, $17 by 2026. Again, it's not me just coming up with figures out of thin air. This comes from, JASMY. And, some people are going to state, I hate when people do this. Okay, well, guess who also does this consistently? Mr. Joel Katz, right? Was it David Schwartz, aka David Schwartz, right? With the 589 XRP. So, I mean, if that's okay, you're cool with that, but you're not cool with this whole statement from the JASMY team about $17. Well, it gets even more nuts because look at what it says here. Better yet, its 10-year forecast is even higher. The coin is expected to reach a high/low of $40/$45 by the beginning of 2030. So if you thought $17 was insane, look at this. With an aggressive forecast reaching up to $60 by the end of 2030. Now, in reality, like I mentioned before, I don't know if I mentioned on this video, I can't remember because this is actually like the third or fourth time recording this video because of all my audio problems, and I got it finally fixed, and my camera problems and so on. So, bottom line is this. Is anyone going to really diamond hand JASMY to 2030 at $60? Most, probably 90%, maybe 99% are not going to do that. They're going to take the bit, most of us are probably going to try to load up as much as we can. Once it gets to the dollar, let's face it, some people are going to be out. You know what I mean? For some people, $100,000 is that, for them, that's life changing. For me, that helps, but it's not life changing. Okay. We all have different goals. But, the key thing is, and I'm not dismissing anybody or downplaying anything, but really, people are going to hold this to $60. I mean, it's possible, or how about this? To $40 is possible, or $17 is possible, right? So, again, if you thought the $17 one was crazy, come on. Low ball to $40 by 2030, or, aggressively forecast is reaching up as much as $60 by 2030. That's 7 years from now. I'm not saying it can't do it, but that's just wow, right? I think me personally, I will be out of. I might keep like a small moon bag for some of this crazy stuff by then, but the way I look at it, I mean, I'll have early retirement long before then. But some of you guys may very well want to hold on to that. I don't know what your situation is. So this crypto has been the foundation and leadership to this crypto has the foundation leadership to return to a ton of money to earn early investors. And that's where it's at. We're basically early, like it says, buy and hold. And that's the way I look at it. You even mentioned this whole thing about, Bitcoin at 66,000. I mean, realistically, think about Charlie Shrem. He bought Bitcoin back in, was it 2010 for $5? Like, that's documented. He's part of the Bitcoin Foundation Club. But the key takeaway is basically, like, am I supposed to believe that Charlie Shrem, he diamond handed his Bitcoin at $5 and then rode it all the way up, and he was lucky he had a crystal ball, if you will, and said Bitcoin is going to go to all-time highs, 11/11/2021 at 69K. Nobody's going to know that for the most part. So I don't think he, diamond handed all of it. He made a ton of money. He's a multimillionaire. But the key takeaway is what you see for JASMY. And that's the way I look at it. I mean, and also this, I truly believe in regards to like the 4-year cycles. Hold on a second. Let me just blow this up a little bit or shrink this down. But, I do believe firmly in regards to the 4-year cycles. And I do believe that Bitcoin could go past 100,000. All right. So if it went to 69,000 in November 2021, it could very well go up to over 100,000. Some of this notion of, I think some people were saying like $1 million in 90 days. That clearly is not going to happen. But here's one of the key takeaways. There's so many different factors. So Bitcoin going to 100,000, you better believe we're going to get to the goals for JASMY because of the correlation. Same with Ethereum. Like if Bitcoin and Ethereum do very, very well, JASMY is going to do very, very well. How about this for size, right? You guys have never seen a utility run, or if you've been in this longer than I have, you've never seen a utility run yet, right? And that utility run is huge. So understand there's a difference between 4-year cycles, and there's also the whole thing of the utility run. We could run into both. And what's really crucial is a few obvious things that are coming out in 2024. Obviously, the Bitcoin halving is a big proponent that's going to get things going, but just as the saying goes, don't get it twisted. People are going to put so much emphasis, even myself. I mean, I like to show people the data when it comes to the 4-year cycles, and we should pay attention to that. Don't get me wrong. I think there's money to be made in 2023 still, especially when it comes by the end of the year. But my key takeaway is the things are going to be like towards all-time highs of 2024, 2025. If we get a utility run, which of course basically is we need to get that regulatory clarity, but we get a utility run and combination with the 4-year cycle. Oh my gosh. I mean, for everybody's focused on 2026 or 2030 with these crazy price predictions, it may already knock it out of the park by then. So as the saying goes, know what you hold, know why you hold it. The research trumps FUD 110%. I'm telling you flat out. That's just the way I personally look at it. I did very, very well in 2021. I turned 10K to 120K. I did with, Shiba Inu, Dogecoin, CRO. Those are my top performers. The way I look at this next time around, I should be able to smash that out of the park because I learned a lot since my journey of then compared to now, and that is investing into long-term projects with real-world utility. You better believe 110% that JASMY has real-world utility. Now, while it's not financial advice, I am providing you education through these deep dives, and I'm proud to do it, but it is what it is, and that's where it's at. If you don't understand the Internet of Things by now, it's okay. Take the time to do so, obviously before investing into JASMY if you're not invested. So with that said, everybody, I hope you enjoyed this deep dive once again in regards to JASMY. You should start seeing more videos on a regular thing. Some people have DM'd me and said, hey man, what happened? Like you were putting videos out left and right, I went, I think like 8 or 9 days without doing a JASMY video. Again, I've been having problems with camera, audio issues, and so on. I got it all sorted out. So glad to be back in that regard. My dad is also finally back from, the rehab center for his physical therapy because he's 88 years old. He's gonna be 89 in September, and he fell. He had to get stronger and so on. So those are all factors that took up my time. But I won't keep you guys anymore. Thank you so much for watching some of these deep dives, especially today's. Have a great Memorial Day. Enjoy some barbecue. Be with your family. Hopefully you got today off. Thanks again for watching. Like, comment, subscribe if you haven't done so already, and hit that bell notification. Check us out every single day at 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific for Crypto Talk Now. Have a great one, everyone. We'll see you on the next one.